from the station working for you. This is abc27News in high definition.
Tonight, an abuse case almost too horrible to take. The DA says he is not ruling out the death penalty for what he says a mid-state couple did. Also this.
What's my reputation? I don't think anybody hopefully questions my integrity on things. And so this becomes personal after a while.
Governor Corbett takes aim at critics who say he played politics with the Jerry Sandusky investigation. Good evening, I'm Dennis Owens.
I'm Alicia. Richard, so glad you're with us tonight. We're going to bring you those reports in a minute, but we want to begin with Hurricane Sandy. She is on a path to the East Coast. The question is, how much rain are we going to get?
Check out where Sandy's been. The storm hit Cuba overnight, damaging more than 3,000 buildings there, leaving lots of rubble in the streets. In
the Dominican Republic, the storm is expected to dump up to 12 inches of rain. Cars in the streets are all but submerged.
And in Miami, boat owners better have them tied up. Sandy's already churning up the waters down there. Erika Finkenbinder joins us with the latest in the Storm Track Center. Eric?
And Dennis, it's still a hurricane, and it's going to be tracking up the East Coast. Yesterday, we said there is that chance of a westward track into the mid-Atlantic area, perhaps making landfall. And now it looks a little more certain here. You can see this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. There's still what we call a degree of uncertainty here. That yellow cone, that's in the area where the center of the Sandy could be moving. So, you know, really anywhere from Boston and down to the Delmarva Peninsula, really still in line for the potential for landfall. So one way or another, we are going to be seeing the effects and the impacts of Sandy. And the question is just how much. A little bit more of a southern track would mean some pretty powerful winds and a lot of rainfall for us. If it takes more of a northerly track to New England, a little bit less, but still we're looking at some significant rainfall. So this is what we're seeing right now. Some showers and wind likely to develop on Sunday and strengthening Sunday night. The meat and potatoes of Sandy here is likely going to be happening on Monday, and that's when we're going to be seeing most of the strong winds and the heavy rain. Now, as I mentioned, we really need to focus on narrowing the landfall now of Sandy. Once we know where it's going to be making landfall, we're going to have a much better idea on how much rain and the strength of the winds. I know some talk about the little bit of snowfall. I think that's going to be off towards New England and off towards western Pennsylvania. For us, it's going to be a rain and wind event. So obviously we got a couple of days, and we're going to keep fine-tuning that forecast, and we're going to be bringing you more information.
Thank you, Eric. From Sandy to Hurricane Sandusky that's blowing through the statewide race for Attorney General. Today, in very strong terms, Governor Corbett blasted critics who say he didn't act fast enough to take a predator off the streets. Jerry Sandusky sits in the Camp Hill prison, but he has become a central figure in the race for Attorney General. Democrat Kathleen Kane has promised an investigation.
It has never taken me 33 months to get a predator, a pedophile off of the street.
Into the Sandusky investigation, suggesting wrongdoing by the AG.
I will find out who, what, when, and why, and if anyone is to be held accountable, then so be it.
Social media sites suggest Tom Corbett intentionally slowed the investigation until after he became governor, so as not to inflame the passions of Penn Staters or lose contributions from Second Mile board members.
There was no politics involved in that investigation. None, zero.
Kane criticizes the pace of the investigation, Corbett's use of a grand jury. 33 months it took from initial claim to arrest.
As a child abuse prosecutor, I've never used a grand jury. It takes too long. It is your duty as a prosecutor to get the pedophile off of the street.
Victim one, Aaron Fisher, has also mentioned politics as a possible reason it took so long to arrest Sandusky. Corbett, in strong terms, says no way.
Would I have loved to have brought that case before I was elected governor? Absolutely. But if I had done what the Democrat candidate says, oh, go arrest him right away, my personal belief then and now is that young man would never have survived a one-on-one preliminary hearing, let alone a trial.
Corbett insists the case was won because so many victims came forward, but it took time to find them. Many of them weren't even known until after he became governor.
There's not one person out there that's going to say that I told them, hold that case up. Don't do that. I'm afraid of Pennsylvania. Not one, because it didn't happen.
I did reach out to Kathleen Kane today. In a statement, she said Pennsylvanians want answers to legitimate questions about the investigation, and she's more likely those answers. Her opponent, Republican Dave Freed, has promised to review the case if elected.
If what investigators say about a Lancaster County couple is true, they will face many years in prison and maybe even the death penalty. They are accused of murdering their 6-week-old son. Megan Healy reports.
Police say this case is one of the most horrific instances of child abuse they've ever seen because it was repeated and it was deliberate. 24-year-old Andrew Moyer and 23-year-old Brianna Michael are each charged with several counts, including criminal homicide. Police were called to their home on Locust Street in Columbia late last week after another family member found Andrew Moyer Jr. dead in his pack-and-play. Neighbors told us investigators spent hours pulling evidence, including the stove from their apartment. Then late Wednesday night, they arrested the couple. Now, police say baby Andrew had multiple traumatic injuries, including 9 broken ribs, bruising to his genitals, and bleeding in his brain and other internal organs. Prosecutors say this abuse was clearly intentional.
The murder of this infant was, they knew exactly what was going to happen when you knee a child in the face and you cause massive trauma to the head. There really is only one purpose for that.
No one knew. Everyone in the building talks to each other. They was always like the outcast. So I don't know. It was just shocking.
Moyer and Michael are both being held at the Lancaster County Prison without bail. The DA says he has not yet ruled out seeking the death penalty in this case. Reporting in Lancaster County, Megan Healy, ABC 27 News.
With that horrific case in mind, everyone in Pennsylvania should know about our safe haven law. Pennsylvania allows a parent to hand over their child for good with no chance of prosecution. Kendra Nichols joins us now to explain this. Kendra.
Alicia, the law has actually been around for 10 years. This is one of the posters promoting it. And right here it says in fine print, if you feel you have nowhere to turn, there is a safe haven. State officials say the death of baby Andrew was 100% preventable. Safe Haven is a federally funded program, and parents can drop off a newborn baby. Now, that's a baby under 1 month old at any hospital in the state. As long as the baby is unharmed and in good health, no questions will be asked. The state says the program has saved lives. In the past 10 years, 21 babies have been taken to Pennsylvania hospitals.
Many hospitals actually have a bassinet or some signs that indicate where you can place the baby, or as long as they present the baby to a nurse or a hospital staff member, there will be no questions asked.
Mom or dad or any family member can maybe surrender, I guess is the word we want to use when they're taking babies to the hospital. For more information about the Safe Haven program, you can call 1-866-921-SAFE. We also have a link to their website on our website, abc27.com. Back to you.
Sometimes that will be the best option. Thanks, Kendra.
In Lebanon County, an afternoon fire damaged 2 homes in Palmyra. The fire started just after 12:30 at 205 West Main Street. The house next door also suffered smoke and water damage. Both homes hold several apartment units. Everyone inside escaped. Neighbors say it was one of the worst fires they've ever seen in the borough.
My wife heard the fire whistle, and then she said, "There's people looking down the street here." She said, "Go over and see what's going on." Well, I said, "Well, look, it's smoke. I mean, the smoke is really high already."
A knocked-over candle is blamed for starting that fire. Well, little ghosts and ghouls will be searching for treats tonight, but parents are more concerned about the tricks in Harrisburg. Recent crime has some parents spooked, but police are trying to combat that fear. Dave Marcheski live in Harrisburg with more on this story. Dave?
Well, they are, Dennis. I'll say that about in a second, but just take a look. We got some trick-or-treaters out and about right now. It's going on from 6 to 8 tonight, but back to the safety reason. Police are out right now. They've beefed up patrols, and they are making some of the rounds. And while candy should all be about getting candy should be all about having fun, but, you know, safety must come first. Now, if you're just heading out the door, there's 3 quick tips from police. Now, always walk in groups, and parents, make sure you keep an eye on your kids. And second, please say it is best to go to homes that you do know. And last, well, stay in well-lit areas and be sure to bring a flashlight. And some parents that we spoke with say, well, this year, well, they're just not going to risk anything.
A lot of people getting killed for nothing, everything. My baby won't be going trick-or-treating tonight. She can eat candy at home.
It's too dangerous, I believe, and I don't want my daughter to see ugly things. You know, people are crazy around here.
Now we do have some a nice woman here giving some candy out, but if you don't want to go out trick-or-treating tonight, there are still some other options. If you head over to the Broad Street Market there in Midtown, they're having a Halloween party from right now to 8 o'clock as well. And Dennis, I know you told me the Governor's Mansion also off of 2nd Street, they're also handing out candy right now.
That's from 6 until 8 o'clock tonight. And Dave, that's quite a scary mask you're wearing right now.
No.
Not as scary as yours. Not as scary as yours.
Indeed. Dave, thanks so much.
All right, stay with us. More news ahead on ABC 27 News at 6.
When Chuck goes out and about, he goes in a McGuire's Ford.
And as we just saw in Harrisburg, lots of people decorate their homes for Halloween. Some invite the neighborhood kids inside for a peek and treats.
Well, one local couple has done this for 14 years, opened up their haunted castle to Chuck Rhodes as well for tonight's Out and About reports.
It's become an annual tradition in the Newville area of Cumberland County, the Halloween house of Mike and Sue Bixler.
A lot of the neighbors enjoy it. And they really enjoy it, and there's just a lot of people that come around to see it, and it's just a good time. There's no pressure with it.
Every Halloween, a new look to frighten and entertain visitors. This year, a 35-foot haunted castle, complete with a moat, drawbridge, and scary residents. Construction of these displays takes weeks, but planning for them is a year-round effort.
A whole year, whenever some thought pops in your head, you write it down, and then we try to make use of it come this time of year.
Over 14 years, Halloween themes have included a corpse cafe, haunted hotel, spooky ballroom, and western saloon. And every year, the family project seems to grow.
We started out with a windsock, a skeleton, and a pumpkin. And it has grown year after year to what's behind me.
Behind the castle, a separate graveyard features tombstones with tongue-in-cheek names of the dearly departed.
I can be in the grocery store in June or July and have someone come up to me and say, "We were at your haunt, we loved it, what are you doing this year?"
Mike takes a week's vacation to help build the display. So what about taking it down?
I take another week off work.
For the Bixlers, the annual Undertaker's Undertaking is a labor of love, but it is labor. Sue, I know it takes a lot of work, and I'm thinking you could probably use another pair of hands.
I could.
I'll tell you what, here you go.
Thank
Knock
you.
yourself out.
If I could have more space, I would make it bigger.
Out and about, where scary is cool. I'm Chuck Rhodes for ABC 27 News.
Ghosts.
Wow. Very fun. Weather's next. Looks like we are going to get another big storm during the Halloween season.
Now, last year it was this, a snowstorm. 5.5 inches fell on October 29, 2011, setting a new October snowfall record. In fact, it was our worst snow of the entire winter last year. This year, we're looking at Hurricane Sandy and what she might bring on that date. Eric will have it all for us with his forecast. It's just ahead.
Well, you can think on the bright side, at least Sandy is not going to totally ruin our weekend. There's a little optimism there. Unfortunately, it's going to be cloudy for most of the weekend, so that sunshine we had yesterday, it may take a while until we see a day of full sunshine. It may take until perhaps late next week until we can actually get a fair amount of sunshine. So let's talk about more cloud cover. From what we had here today, this is at Millersville University, and when you get west of the Appalachians, you get over, let's say towards Pittsburgh, Altoona, Johnstown, up towards Erie, nothing but sunshine, but we had moisture from the Atlantic Ocean kind of sneak in overnight last night, and it just kept us cloudy all day today, needing the lights already there, perhaps getting some event or getting ready for something here at Millersville University for the evening. There is the low-level clouds, and this is, we see this a lot in springtime, and also in the fall when that sun is just not that strong and it doesn't really burn off those clouds very quickly. So unfortunately, we just had those clouds, and I think that's what's going to happen again for tomorrow. So it's going to be definitely a cloudy, misty start tomorrow. West of the Appalachians, you're going to be heading out towards perhaps Pittsburgh, Erie. I even think State College has a better chance of seeing a lot of sunshine here for tomorrow if you're going to be heading up early before the Penn State game on Saturday. But for us, almost a 20-degree difference from one end of Pennsylvania to the other. And as we look outside, we've got not only the low-level clouds, but just, I would almost say, mist. Every once in a while, maybe even needing the windshield wipers just to clear off some of that mist. use the intermittent option there in the windshield wipers. Today's high was 64. You can see we're a little bit on the mild side, much warmer overnight, and that's what we're anticipating tonight. Again, we're going to be in the mid to even upper 50s overnight tonight, all thanks to that easterly flow, the blanket of clouds limiting the heat from escaping here overnight tonight. So we're going to keep that warmer air. And of course, when you stand here and look at all of the systems getting closer to us, I think a lot of us are just looking at the lower right hand of the screen thinking, okay, what are we talking about here for Sandy? Well, right now, I think we could see the clouds from Sandy as early as Saturday. Now let's focus on tomorrow morning. A cloudy, misty start just like this morning. If we can be a little optimistic and say perhaps a few peaks of sun tomorrow evening, at least we're looking at a dry Friday night football. I think every Friday night so far has been fairly pleasant here. There's the front, and that front's actually going to kind of stall, all thanks to the movement of Sandy. This is noontime Saturday. Those clouds are going to continue to move in here. A very deep low pressure system. I mean, this is a pretty good storm here that's moving into the moving near the mid-Atlantic. Now here, this is Sunday at noontime. Almost looks like it's starting to move farther out in the Atlantic. That's when it's going to begin to arc westward. There is when we're starting to focus on really how much of an impact we're going to be seeing. Right now, the National Hurricane Center expects the landfall anywhere from Boston all the way down to the eastern shores of Carolina and Virginia. If the track is farther south, that would mean much stronger winds and a lot more heavier rain, perhaps even flooding rain for us. If it tracks farther north, perhaps not as strong, but we're still going to see some winds and a fair amount of rainfall. Snowfall, I think that's going to be mainly to our north and west in the higher elevation. So I think it's going to be more of an event here for us that we're talking about dealing with the rainfall and the wind. And I think that's going to be mainly Monday and perhaps even into Tuesday. 55 overnight tonight, cloudy and mild, 66 for a high tomorrow. Let's take you into the weekend. Our weather team's going to be here all weekend. We're going to be giving you a lot of updates here as well. So mainly a cloudy weekend. Looks like a lot of it of Sandy here begins into Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday. So to start next week, and we will keep you posted. Stay with us. Sports is next.
No NFL rap. John Ritchie has been placed on injured reserve. 7 seasons in the NFL, no broken bones. He jumps on a skateboard and this happens. John broke his wrist in 8 places. He was actually still going to come in because he's tougher than a normal human, but he got held up at the doctor's office. John, day to day. One of the big games this weekend is in Pittsburgh. The Steelers host the Washington Redskins and their electrifying rookie quarterback Robert Griffin III. RG3 excited to play in the Steel City for the first time.
I look forward to it. And going out there and seeing how their fans are. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty loud. Their fan base is very fanatic, and I take in all those experiences, but at the same time, I know I'm there to do a job. So it'll be fun. It'll be loud, and it's our job to go out there and execute.
We can't sit back and be passive. We got to attack and play the wild personality, and hopefully reduce what he's capable of doing, or at least minimize it. He's a quality, talented player, one that generates a lot of what they do offensively and as a football team, and I think our preparation starts there in regards to preparing for the Redskins.
Steelers Skins Sunday at 1 o'clock. College basketball season will tip off in less than a month. Patrick Chambers looked to get things turned around in his second season with the Nittany Lions. Today was Big Ten Media Day in Chicago. Chambers asked how the Sandusky scandal has impacted the way he recruits.
There's no denying it, and what I try to do is stay out in front of it, especially when it comes to recruiting. I talk to parents about it. I talk to the kids about it. I don't want it to be the elephant in the room. I'd rather say let's get out in front of this and let's discuss it. And if there's issues, well, we might not be the right place for you. And if they're okay with it, then you're going to get some really amazing kids that are serious about getting a degree, that are winners, that want to help build this program.
Penn State's first game November 15th against NC State in San Juan.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for being here.
We'll see you at 7.